Hello everyone, so we are going to be going over the different styles of each type of art movement. So I have Renaissance here, Impressionism here, and Expressionism last. So I very quickly sketched out each portrait, and especially Impressionism, I ran out of room. So a little bit of my head is cut off, which I would prefer you not to do for yours. Also notice that mine are in portrait style. Okay, so they are more vertical. And I'm going to be going over each kind of blend. So Renaissance blended, Impressionism not blended, Expressionism we're dealing with color. So let's get started. All right, so first I am going to start with Renaissance. Now already if you're doing Renaissance, your sketch should be pretty realistic. There should not be really anything not in proportion. It's very symmetrical, very proportional, almost to the extreme, okay? When we are painting, we are going to make it very blended looking. So right now, and I already have a video on how you can mix specific colors. So my color palette is just white, blue, yellow, and red. And through doing that, I have mixed brown, a little like lighter pink color, and then a like more natural skin tone for myself. If you are a little bit darker skinned, then you just add less white. Okay, and you'll have to play around with that perfect mixture. So I'm not going to be going over too much what that means as far as getting the perfect skin tone for yourself. You'll have to play around that on your with that on your own. So through and with paper, you're not going to have as much of a blendability as you would with canvas. But I am starting off with some of my darker areas, and as I'm painting, I'm noticing, yeah, it looks very dark. And that just means that I either need to adjust or I can blend in other colors to help out. So I'm starting off with my darkest area first. Personally, that's what I like to start with. So I'm just laying down some of those areas. It does not have to be perfect at the beginning because you will layer more and more. Okay, now I'm going in with a little bit of a lighter. And at this point, some of that other paint might be a little bit wet. So if you lay it down fast enough, the other paint might be a little wet and you'll get a natural blend to it. So I'm looking at my photo, my reference photo, and now I have a little bit of a lighter area. So you can see that. I'm not sure how well it's coming up on camera. It might not be as bright necessarily. So I'm mixing a little bit more. I need a little bit more paint right now. And I'm going even lighter with some sections. So I'm trying to work a little faster so I get some of the paint that's a little bit wet so that it blends a little bit better. I'm going in and just kind of getting the areas that it looks close to the paint that I mixed. And I'm going to keep doing this technique with different tones that I mix. I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to mix more paint. This time I need a lighter skin tone color with a little bit more red on it. So I'm going to mix that up right now. And through and the differences in my skin tones, as I've laid down like 3 layers so far, the differences are very slight, and that's how you will get the more blended look. If you are doing some drastic difference in color and then trying to blend it, it's just not going to blend into each other as well unless you have very thick pieces, like spots of paint. So already this is starting to lighten up a bit. Starting to get a little bit more dimension to it. Again, dimension is one of the main parts of Renaissance painting. I also noticed that some of the portraits had women with a little bit of skinnier eyebrows, and I have quite the bushy eyebrows going on, so I thinned them up a lot, and so that's another quality I noticed in the portraits that I was looking at. I'm continuing to layer that paint and add what I need. So again, I'm just taking that initial mixture and then taking some off to the side and adding a little bit more white, or maybe if I needed a little more pinky, I would add just a tiny bit of red to it. But overall, I'm kind of using that same initial mixture so that my colors aren't too off and that they blend a little bit more seamlessly. I'm still going in and getting some of those areas. And you can even layer on top, like right here, I needed a little bit more red color. And my paint now at this point, a lot of it's pretty dry, but it still looks a little bit blended because my colors are not that different. They are and they aren't, you know, and when you layer them, they'll start to blend more. It's definitely playing around with it. So if you were doing Renaissance, I'm looking for that blend to them and more of a realistic look. So as I've gone in and layered some of these values, I've noticed that the easiest thing for me is to actually limit the amount that I am cleaning off my brush, because if you want that blended look, some of that other paint on your brush is going to help you blend all the paint that you're adding as well. So I am cleaning off my brush a very limited amount so that I can get all these values blended. And then if there's areas that I need to be a little bit blended, I can take another brush to blend out the edges, or even smush it with my finger to kind of disperse the edge of them. So I am continuing to layer. There's a lot of layers that I need to do here. So I'm just continuously mixing and adding another layer. And even if it's not perfectly spot on to the photo, it's nice to still be able to get that layer down, and then you can adjust it from there. But it will definitely help see the whole picture and kind of what you're going for. So again, I'm cleaning off my brush a very limited amount so that everything blends a little bit better. So I'm still kind of on this initial layer of just adding down a base layer of paint before I start refining it. All right, and I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on this because I need to move on to the next one. But as you can see, I have a very blended look with my paint, and that is from continuously adding values. So blending a lot and then adding and layering more and more values. So more of a blended look. And I would still need to go through this a little bit more. That's kind of my base layer, and then I can refine some more details. But that is Renaissance. Now for Impressionism. This is an unblended look, and some of the characteristics and kind of the things I noticed with the painting is that it makes their subjects look like they have more of a washed out look, like a little bit flat, a little bit paler. Lips tend to be a little bit more red toned, and of course not blended. So I am going to mix up my paint and then come back. So for Impressionist painting, although it's not blended, I like to get a nice base layer down because I don't want any like blank spots as I'm going. And so just creating one base layer, almost like an underpainting, is going to help me and prevent me from really getting any blank areas that are unpainted, and just kind of fill the whole thing so that no paper is showing underneath. So that is what I am doing. And this is, I'm going to do kind of a medium tone, or a little bit on the lighter side, so that I can layer this properly. All right, so I have a base layer, as you can see, and I am going to go in with those values. So it's pretty much, continuing to add the values like in layer them like we did the other one, and mix them like how we did with Renaissance, but you are not blending it. So that means I probably am going to wash off my brush a little bit more than I would Renaissance. And I'm going to mix just the same. So I am going to go into some of my darker values and just kind of make little brush strokes. So just kind of little lined motions to create the value. So this side of my face is darker. I'm going in still with a dark value, but creating more of this kind of dotted or lined motion. And now if it blends a little, totally fine. Some of it might blend a little. But overall, it's going to have more of a blurred look. So hopefully you can see now at this point that Impressionism is so much less blended, especially compared to Renaissance, where everything is so blended, and you can, in this one you can see all the little brush strokes. And I am going to finish up some of the other parts as well, but hopefully you can see this up close. Alright, so most of my face is done. If I wanted to kind of make the hair part, I would do a very similar technique. Where I am just adding very like spotty areas of hair. And I feel like the hair can be even more kind of crazy. It's just laying it down. And I'm not going to do all of it right now. As far as the background, if I want to do something in the background, they have a lot of yellows in there, lighter greens, but I would maybe do a very like thick layer of paint in the back. So more of a thick layer of paint towards the back. And honestly, this is a bit brighter than I wanted as far as the background. And then I would go in, and if I want, some petals or whatever I end up having, I would kind of just do, again, thicker layers. So there's a lot of not landscapes, but flowers in the background of those. And so this is like a super quick version of doing the background, but adding in still some more values, but keeping the paint somewhat thick as well. So this is more of an impressionist style of painting. So Renaissance, Impressionist, and I hope you can see that difference. more blurred look. Even though I mix so many values and so many colors, it's still not blended, and that's fine. And there are some areas that kind of got a more blended look. And that's fine too. It will get like that. But I hope you can see the difference in how I applied that paint. All right, next we are going to do the Expressionism style of painting. And this is going to be unnatural colors. So in some of the paintings, you might see some natural colors, that's fine. Or you might see some totally unnatural colors, and that is fine too, no matter what type of influence you get. I see some that are blue and green skin tones, and then I see some that are just more of brighter colors. And so it's really up to you how you interpret that. This is also going to be different in terms of every expressionist is a little bit different with how they're applying their paint. Some do a little bit more of an impressionist style with how the brush strokes are really loose, and some paint in larger areas, and those areas might be a little bit more solid colors. So the way that you do it is really up to you. So for me, I'm just breaking down little sections, and I would prefer you to mix these colors. So I kind of just took the blue straight out of the tube there, but I would like you to at least mix the colors that you're using, not just use your primary colors that you have. And I'm dividing it into sections. So my darker sections, I'm still kind of going with how the light hits. For me, some of my darker sections I'm going to probably do in blue. Bold outlines are popular as well, or at least not exactly bold, but still the outlines going on. Very geometric. So I'm going in and putting in some more unnatural colors to my painting. So at this point, I have added a decent amount of unnatural colors to mine. Purple, blue, green. I hope you all can see that. And I do want to go in with still some that are just a little bit more realistic in terms of how they look. So I am going to go in with some of my more skin tone colors as well, just so I have a mixture. And that's up to you and how you would like to do that. So that is how I'm approaching it right now, is going in with still some skin tones and laying some of those down as well. So for the expressionist style, the background has areas of different color that kind of merge together, and I just really fast applied that paint. But hopefully you can see some of the unnatural color, and I mixed it with a little bit more of skin tones as well. Here is Impressionism. Very blurred look, less blended. And then I have Renaissance, way more blended. And this is by using the same reference photo for each one. And I didn't do the eyes in all of them just because for time's sake, but hopefully you can see that, how they're all different.